All right. Happy Thursday. Thanks for stopping by. So I'm going to show you how I mounted these panels with stainless steel zip ties. I still have some corrections to make because I ran into a wire that was too short and I could not mount the panel where I wanted to, so I'm waiting for my extension wire to come in. But let me show you what we got so far. Okay, so I thought I was going to have a helper for this project, but I ended up having to do it all alone. So I couldn't mount the panels to the racks while they were still sitting on the ground. So I had to mount the ladder rack first and then put each panel on top and zip tie them down, and that just took forever. But let's climb up on the back and show you how this goes down. All right, help me climb up here. At least I have this thing to grab onto now. All right, so I have chosen to use, focus camera, focus, 3 stainless steel zip ties under each hole. See, these panels come pre-drilled. There's holes all up under there. So I put 1 through and it didn't seem like enough. 2 seemed really good, so I thought, why not go with 3? So I put 3 here, and the same on the front. And what you do is you grab the leftover part that sticks out with needle nose pliers, and you twist it inward toward the pipe, and it torques the strap down. And twist it once or twice, and then clip off the excess. And now that's nice and tight. It's torqued around the pipe. So these 2 panels I mounted first. See, I left this opening in the middle. This is 15 inches. Not quite wide enough to get another panel because the panels are 20 inches wide. So I thought I'd leave this opening for in the future. If I ever wanted to put a roof fan, I could do that. My plan was to do the other panels the same way. Here's where I run into a problem. This wiring wasn't long enough to reach that panel if I mounted it way over there. So in the meantime, I've had to pull it over here and mount it just so I had enough wiring. I have ordered some additional extension wiring, so I am going to mount this panel over to the left, but that might take a week or so before I get my wiring. Okay, so moving on along, we're looking from back to front. This panel's done the same way. 3 stainless steel zip ties, another 3 stainless steel, and the front has another 6 zip ties. So I got 12 zip ties on each panel, and they are tight. You can shake on this thing, you can do anything, and it's not moving anywhere. Okay, pardon the wind noise. I know it's going to be windy and noisy, but I've got to show you the underside of this panel. Show you the hard time I had. I was going to use U-bolts. See, these are pre-drilled holes. I was going to put this rack right in the center here and use a U-bolt. Problem is, I could do it on this side, but I couldn't reach the inside to do it. You know, I had access to a ladder at work, and I was up on the ladder and I was leaning all across the top of the van to do this job. So here's the underside, so you can see the zip ties go through that pre-drilled hole in the aluminum panel and then wrap around the ladder rack pipe. Oh, I see one under there that I didn't clip off. See that one in the center there? I didn't clip the excess off of the zip tie, probably because I couldn't reach it. I'll get to that later. Look at the discoloring on the roof that was left over from that old adhesive. See the yellowing? You can see where the old adhesive was on the old panels. So eventually this panel here is going to be pulled up flush against this side mount once I get my extension wire. See the wiring under there? The negative wire was not long enough to meet the cabling that comes in from the back. And you know, I mentioned there's no drilling here, right? Didn't even drill a hole to run the wires into the van. Let me show you where that comes in at. Chevy Express has a pre-drilled hole that you need to know about. It's right behind this plastic thing. It's some holes drilled in, so you fish it down, you take this plastic cover off, just open the door and unbolt these 2 bolts behind here. And you'll see the hole already there. So let me show you how I fished the wiring in. Right there. So what I've got here is 400 watts, but I've split it into 2 200-watt systems running into 2 different charge controllers. I've got that kind of zip tied up there just so it won't fly off, but I had to make this video today because I'm running out of time the rest of the week. See that old adhesive? Looks terrible. It's gonna have to just wear off. All right, so let's come in from this side now so you can see how the ladder rack mounts. It's a gutter mount. You gotta be careful with these things. See, sometimes they'll lean on you a little bit. That's just gonna happen because the inside is not completely level in places. But this is what you're looking for. You wanna get this right under the lip. You don't wanna have it down lower. I'll show you this one. These things are gonna naturally try to go low on you and dig into that bead under there. You do not want that. You want it pushed up right under the lip, and then you tighten this down. This screw down. Not too tight. You'll strip a screw. How do I know? Because I did it. Check this out. Notice this screw looks different because I stripped this one and I had to dig through my can of nuts and bolts, and luckily I found another one that worked. I had to drill the old screw out. This is a hex head on this one, an Allen wrench head on this one, and that's a hex head. Standard nut and bolt. But boy, I got lucky because I was dead in the water if I hadn't found that bolt. And here's another good example. This one's pretty flush. Nice and tight under there, and then you just tighten that down. I don't know what torque to tell you, just don't go too tight. It's unnecessary. Just tighten it down until it gets snug and leave it alone. And this bolt here goes into the pipe, and it's a job in itself just putting these ladder racks together. Lots of nuts and bolts, lots of assembly acquired. It's not a hard job, but it's a time-consuming job. Very time-consuming, especially if you're going to be doing this solo like I did. If I had help, it would have been an easy job. But now I'm glad I didn't have help, because now I know I'm self-sufficient. You got to be independent on this stuff. If you get out somewhere and you have a problem, you got to be able to fix it yourself. You cannot rely on others. All right, so let's come around the front. This is going to irk me until I get this corrected. See, those 2 panels, they're not symmetrical like the back, and that's going to drive me crazy until I get it fixed. This panel has got to go over here. Also, it was very difficult leaning across the van, putting those stainless steel zip ties through way over in the center of the van. That's why I want each panel on the perimeter of the van, so it's easy access to it in case I need to do something to them. It's easy to reach if it's here, hard to reach if it's in the center of the van. See what I'm saying? This panel here, this was the first one I put up. It went up great, very easy, because it's right here where I can reach it from the ground. I stood up on my running board here. Let me show you this. There's the running board. I stood on it when I started, and then I eventually, come on gimbal, and then I eventually just went on inside of, we had a ladder at work and I just got it and used it. But so here's how high we are without the running board, right here. And watch how much higher we get with the running board. All right, the camera is even with my forehead. So see, I can access anything from the running board. But I'm going to give you a demonstration of how to torque down a stainless steel zip tie, just in case you don't understand. Let's do that now. Okay, so I've got a zip tie wrapped around this cargo rack. It looks like any other zip tie, right? This is the access that you pull through. Well, there's a bearing inside of there. And the bearing, the housing is narrower on one side than on the other, so when the bearing goes back, it cannot go any further back. So that's what locks it down. So you pull all the slack out that you can, like that, and then you get a set of needle nose pliers like these. You grab it and twist toward what you're wrapping on. So in this case, it would be clockwise. You grab it there and you twist. And you continue to twist until you take all the slack out and you torque it down. If you got to do that one time, maybe 2 times, but you continue on until it gets tight. And that's all you do. Sorry, we got interrupted. Somebody drove up, asking me questions. Anyway, see, I pulled all the slack out, torqued it down just by twisting this. And then you trim off the excess, and that's all you do. I want to show you how strong I have been, just for my satisfaction, I have been twisting on this, trying to break it. Twisting and twisting and twisting, and I can't do it. I'm going to have to cut it with snips. And that is a great thing to know. Pretty strong. Alright, so I like the way it looks from the back there. It's nice and symmetrical. But I have got to get that front panel fixed, or it's going to drive me crazy. That big gap. See there? Would that drive you crazy? This panel has got to be slid over to the right. But that's it. I mean, it's super strong. 3 zip ties per mounting point. You could probably get by with 2, but why not do 3? But I mean, it is just on there as tight as you can imagine. It's just it won't slide, it won't lift up. It's a great alternative to nuts and bolts when you just don't have the option of reaching under there. To get to the nuts and bolts. When you don't have that option, like I didn't have, doing it alone, then this is a great alternative. So I'm your test pilot. I'm your guinea pig. But I have no worries now that I have tried to actually break a zip tie and couldn't do it with the needle nose pliers. Makes me feel pretty good. All right, guys, take care, be well, and smash the bell.